Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition of Morning Scone. Glad you are here with us. Remember, as always, please hit the subscribe button and download the Signed app, Getsynd, digital autograph app for your smartphone. Really cool deal. Developed by an LSU alum. They've been great to us. So before you go to any event, or just right now when you finish watching this, close out the app and then go to your app store, Google Play, download Signed, S-Y-N-D. Check it out, enjoy it. LSU, my goodness, what a rally. LSU wins 7-5 in a game they absolutely had to have. I mean, this is a series they had to have, and they found a way. So good on them. When they were down 5-1, I'm certain there was a lot of concern. I don't have runners left on base stats right in front of me, but LSU left the bases loaded in the third or the fourth. Bo Jordan popped out with the bases loaded. They had runners on each of the first 4 innings. I don't think Bama had a clean inning until maybe the 5th or the 6th. So LSU had their opportunities, got 2 runners thrown out at home, which we could talk about. Base running is an issue, but despite all of the things that went wrong, I mean, when Slaughter got thrown out at home, I mean, ground ball to third, looks him back to third. They go to second for the force, and Slaughter takes off. I don't know if that's on Nolan or if Jake just decided to take off. Look, I mean, LSU, those players are coached to be aggressive on the base paths. I mean, that's how the coaches want them approaching it. But man, there's a difference between being aggressive and being reckless or careless. And last night was careless, man, especially when a situation we had 1 out. So, instead of corners 1 out, or even bases loaded 1 out, now you're talking about runner at first with 2 outs. Anyway, the point is, LSU was playing poorly, very poorly, up until probably the 6th inning, man, whenever they took Hess out and they went to Devin Fontenot. He turned off the spigot for 2 innings and gave LSU a shot in the 8th, and they came through. Everyone's going to talk about Bo Jordan's grand slam, which certainly I'll talk to. And, of course, Bo Jordan came up with the big hit, and that's the one that we'll no doubt remember, in a spot when LSU needed it down 5-3 in the 8th, and he comes up with the grand slam on senior weekend, honoring the '93 team, and it was just a huge hit in a huge spot. So awesome for Bo Jordan. But you'd be remiss if you didn't talk about what set the stage for that grand slam. And it's one of the things I've been talking about all year with this team. When patience and an approach at the plate makes a difference. I mean, you can't get a grand slam if you don't load the bases. You don't have the opportunity for a grand slam or a home run, if you don't load the bases. So think about how that inning started. Zach Watson hits a chopper to the left side. He gets an infield single. I think they ruled it a throwing error, but I think it would have been safe either way. But so Watson hits a chopper. He legs it out. He gets on first. Then Fiducia walks. Jake Slaughter walks to load the bases. By the way, Slaughter had 2 walks last night, and that's one of the biggest developments in Jake Slaughter's game this year, is the fact that was a kid. And if you watch that at bat in the 8th inning when Slaughter walked, that was nothing but curveballs. Slaughter was sitting dead red fastball, and they were throwing him benders, and he sat there and took them. Benders in the dirt, and he did a phenomenal job working that walk for a guy a year ago, and even earlier this year, was an impatient hitter who would have been swinging away at those and would have gone down swinging on bad pitches in the dirt. So a good eye, good patience by Jake Slaughter to draw that walk. So now you get the bases loaded, and Mainieri decides to pinch hit Nick Coombs for Hal Hughes. Love that decision. Senior weekend, of course, you put the senior in there, the guy who's the better bat when you had to have offense. He went with the righty, and Coombs pokes a single through the left side to get a run home and keep the bases loaded. So felt awesome for Nick in that moment, and he's probably one of those guys, probably your best bat off the bench when you're just looking for a bat you can rely on in a pinch hit type situation, or if you need somebody to start if someone gets cold. Coombs, is reliable. He's played a lot of baseball for this team, and that was great to see for Nick. So LSU gets the run there. Then they walk in a run. It was Broussard. And by the way, man, what an AB by Brant Broussard with the bases loaded in that situation to draw the bases loaded walk. He was down in the count 1-2. I mean, he was on the defensive and ended up working that bases loaded walk. I mean, kudos to Broussard in that spot for getting the run home, a bases loaded walk, to get LSU within striking distance for Bo there to come up with the grand slam, which of course then he did when LSU was down 5-3. So that whole 8th inning, the 6-run rally, it's improbable. But you know what? Like we talked about this, after the Tennessee game when LSU was dead in the water against Tennessee, and they managed to rally in the bottom of the 9th to win that game and sweep the series. And at the time we said, look, you hope, like, games like this tend to even themselves out. Like, you stole one, chances are you're probably going to give one away. And my hope then was it was the Vanderbilt game. If you remember, LSU lost Sunday at Vanderbilt 1-0. It was the 7-inning game. Hilliard was brilliant. Vandy got a run in the first against him and then nothing else, but LSU didn't get anything all game in that Sunday game. So you're like, man, maybe those cancel each other out. But then what you've actually seen the past couple of weeks is, well, LSU on Sunday against South Carolina blows a 6-run lead. So then obviously Sunday against Ole Miss where they blew the lead in the 8th. So you're the Friday game against Arkansas. So as you actually look at it, this year LSU's had more of those kinds of games where they've blown the late lead, where they've missed the opportunity than when they've come through. Certainly I could point to Saturday against Arkansas, kind of stealing one late. Last night, certainly they stole one late, and then that Sunday game against Tennessee. So but my point is, those types of things tend to even themselves out over the course of a baseball season. So LSU's had their share of heart-stopping wins where they probably, they escaped with one that maybe they shouldn't have. But the flip side of it is they've lost some heartbreakers as well. And the difference between being, an average team that's 13-12 in the league right now, a game over 500, and being 18-12 is by the end of the season, or 18-11. Would it be 18-11? 18-10. It's too early to do math. I'm sorry. And I was always good at English and reading and spelling and grammar and all that stuff. I suck at math. I suck at math and science. So my apologies. And I think you understand my point. The point is, like, the reason Florida's great is all those games go their way. They find a way to win all of them. The reason LSU's average is because those games have evened out. They've stole some late, but they've also found a way to lose some that they probably should have won. Nonetheless, LSU gets the win. A couple of other things from last night. I'll talk about Zach Hess. Hess has not had a dominant start since Tennessee. In that day, he went 7 innings, 1 run on 3 hits and 8 strikeouts, just 1 walk. He was dominant on that Friday night against Tennessee, and he hasn't been dominant since. But save for the South Carolina start, he's given LSU a chance to win in every game, and he's gone against aces. He went against Rollison, he went against Blaine Knight. He's gone against legit aces in that span, and he's given LSU a chance. So I think what LSU's going to have to do is figure out ways to win Friday when they don't have the Nola, the Lang, the guy that's just going to go out and be oppressive on Friday nights. Because what seems like it's happened over the last month, and it's happened enough to where this is obviously a trend, is Hess isn't the guy that's going to, we should know this by now, the outlier is going to be if he gives you 8 innings of 1 run, 3 hit ball, with 9 strikeouts. That's the outlier at this point for Zach. He's more likely going to give you 5 or 6. They're going to drive up his pitch count. He'll probably give up 3-4 runs and try to give you a shot to be in it if your offense can get going. So the good news is that the offense has gotten going. The 2 other things about Hess, and there's a couple other things I want to touch on here. We got a few minutes. He gave up 2 in the second, 2 in the third. In the third, the 2 runs that scored reached on a hit by pitch and a walk. Hess walked 4 and hit 2 batters last night. That's the bugaboo. When you're giving up free bases, obviously that's what's bit Hess this year, and it did again last night, which is probably why he didn't extend deeper. But it is worth noting the 4th, Alabama had the bases loaded with nobody out, and he got out of that jam, and that's super impressive because he and Monero even referred to him as Alex Lang after the game, and mistakenly. It was sort of a Freudian slip, but it was apropos because Lang did that often, and Hess did last night in a huge spot. That rally, maybe the stage is never even set for that rally if Hess doesn't get out of that bases loaded, nobody out jam. So very cool for that. How about my boy Ted Peterson? Fantastic 7-pitch 9th for the save. He's nails. And I was talking to Alden Cartwright about it. And he's like, hey, man, look, I hated to start. I hated to start. I loved coming out of the bullpen as a reliever. It's like some guys just mentally, it's just better for them to be a reliever than a starter and vice versa. And I think you're seeing that with Peterson right now. He's not only is he up there just throwing gas confidently, but he's also an emotional guy in that role, kind of like Hess was last year. I'm not comparing the stuff. I mean, it's not the heater ain't that different, but Hess as a closer last year with that wicked slider was just nasty. But the point is, Peterson has become a dominant closer, and what that does is it also relieves Bain of having to do that. And Bain was not a dominant closer. I always held my breath about that with Austin Bain, because when you're up there just throwing 89, 91 pretty straight, like you're just kind of hoping they hit it at people. So with Peterson, man, weak contact, swings and misses, I'll take that all day with Peterson closing, which is awesome. Two more things offensively. How about Daniel Cabrera? I don't know if you can say quietly because he didn't have the big hit at the end, but 3 for 5. He was a home run shy of the cycle. Had an RBI, had the big RBI double. He's now batting .318. A month ago, Daniel Cabrera was batting .280. He's raised his batting average 40 points throughout the heart of SEC play. I hyped him up so much at the beginning of the season, and now you're starting to see why. He's just a special talent, and you're lucky you're going to get to see him for the rest of the season in 2 more years. And you also got to feel good for Jake Slaughter. 1 for 2 last night, scored a run, but more importantly, he drew 2 walks. This is a guy that was his strikeout to walk ratio was disproportionate, and now you're starting to see he's normalizing that. So game 2 tonight. Let's see if the Tigers can go get it with Mikhail Hilliard on the bump. We'll look forward to it, and of course we'll talk to you tomorrow morning on Morning Scone. Please hit the red subscribe button, tell a friend, and we'll see you tomorrow for Morning Scone.